are both moms and wives and therapists. And we find that we often discuss with our clients this idea of the perfect marriage. And we're going to go ahead and call bullshit on the perfect marriage. And we're also going to talk about how we need to stop comparing our marriage to where it was before, whether it's before kids or before 2 kids or before 3 kids. Stop comparing your marriage to where it was in the past. That's bullshit. And that is a setup. It's a big setup. It's stupid.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
I'm fired up.
Woo!
Yeah. And you want to take this one about conflict? Let's talk about conflict in marriage.
So Maggie was just saying that, you know, you need to stop comparing your marriage to what your relationship was before children. Stop comparing your current marriage to anything before what it was today. Quite frankly, that's how often marriage evolves. And one of the ways that marriages evolve is by having conflict. And a lot of people are either based on what they've been through in the past or based on what they think marriage is supposed to be. They're conflict avoidant and they don't want to ever fight, like in their marriage. Conflict is not a bad thing. Trust, in my opinion, trust in your marriage is often built in being able to resolve conflict in a healthy way. Like, it's not about staying connected at all times. That's not always realistic. It's about your ability to reconnect. And that is healthy for you as a couple, and it's healthy for your children to see, because they need to learn that they don't need to be afraid of conflict. They need to learn that you don't always have to agree to love each other. Like, that's a huge part of marriage. Compromise. All of that can be achieved and taught through healthy conflict.
Right. Well, and one thing I talk about a lot with Parenting with Perspectacles is, can we please cut the freaking silent treatment? Like, can we just stop doing that? Because what that teaches, what that taught us as children, which we bring into our relationships and into our marriages, is this idea that conflict means the end of the relationship.
Yes.
Right? Come on.
Yeah.
Let's love each other through that. Time out. That's stupid. Stop withdrawing your love, attention, and affection from your partner. Learn how to stop doing that. You do that because that's what your parent did from you because of freaking modern parenting. That's how they disciplined us. They withdrew their love, attention, and affection. That's what conflict looked like. That's why so many of us have alarm bells that go off for us when we're in conflict with someone, because we fear it means the end of the relationship. So the sooner that you can work towards a healthy conflict, like Logan is talking about, where you can, recognize, oh, I'm projecting, oh, I'm shutting down, I need a timeout. I'm not withdrawing right now, but I need a timeout. So you can model healthy conflict for your kids. Like, literally, we have to model it for them. They don't learn it unless we show them. And the families... That's a kid's toy going off right now. That's a kid's toy. Hi, kid's toy over there. It's literally going off. I don't know how to make it stop, so we'll just have to enjoy the background noise.
Help.
Oh my God.
Shoot it.
Huh?
Shoot it.
I know, right? Okay. Thanks,
It'll
Fisher Price. Anyway, if we want our kids to go into their relationships and have healthy conflict, then we have to show them conflict. So many parents are afraid to fight in front of their kids. That is bullshit. Like, certainly there's a line, and we don't want a vicious fight in front of our kids. We don't want to be vulgar. We don't want to be mean and cross that line, but like, they need to see healthy conflict. They literally won't learn it otherwise. It's so important.
And I think, and this is something that I touched on in the last live that we did, where we were talking about, I think we were talking about the discomfort of like making healthy change, is I don't want a single person watching this to expect that that's going to be an easy thing. Like, it's not easy. Like, I literally made this same quote. It's not easy, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. I know that when you're in conflict with your spouse, if you're exhausted at the end of the day, or it's first thing in the morning and you have a million other things going on in your mind as a mom, like, it's never convenient. But like, I'm telling you that, like, that's the work. Like, it is, and that's something we wanted to touch on. Like, having a healthy marriage takes work and it takes maintenance. And that's like, fuck the idea, this Hallmark idea of like, I married my best friend and we never fight, and I tell them absolutely everything and they're always my dreamboat. Like, okay, well, maybe somewhere there's a unicorn marriage like that, but it's not mine, and that doesn't mean my marriage isn't healthy.
The research is so clear on conflict in marriage. The research is crystal clear. The couples that at 1 year have moderate to heavy fighting are actually way more likely to still be married at 10 years than the couples who report no fighting or little to no fighting after 1 year of marriage. It is crystal clear because we're pushing shit down and pretending it's not there, right? We have all these ugly feelings for our partner, the resentment and the frustration and the rage and disappointment.
And if your plan is to stay married to this person forever, sooner or later something is going to have to give. And like, you do not deserve to like if you're avoiding conflict, or if you're trying to keep everything like always perfectly like this, like a straight line, and that means that you're not being your true self, that you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of punishment, and you do not deserve that. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to model that for your children. Like, the person, at some point, you are going to have to trust this person that you signed up for forever with to love you in every state. And that means it's not always going to be pretty. It's not going to be perfect, but that doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it unhealthy. It makes it normal.
Right. Well, and I think that so much of my work with couples and counseling is helping them learn the repair part of conflict. That was a model for us either. So we were silent treatmented as kids. And then our parent, when they effed up, right, and they crossed the line, they never came back to repair with us. They never took accountability for what they did. They never owned what they did. They never modeled how to apologize. I think so many of us had to apologize for shit we didn't do as children. I know this was me for sure, that I like hated apologizing because I had to apologize for so many things I felt like I didn't deserve to apologize for as a child. And so then I become a grown up and I'm like, I don't want to apologize. I'm tired of apologizing. This isn't my fault, right?
And every single one of us have baggage. Every single one of us have stuff. And again, it's not a bad thing that that's showing up in your marriage. If it does, it's good because it means that you have intimacy established and you're feeling vulnerable. So when it comes up, trust yourself to navigate it. Trust your partner to help you navigate it, even though it's scary, even though it feels uncomfortable. Like, I promise you, there is so much good on the other side of that discomfort. And like, you can build something that is unshakable by like getting through those moments together. And also looping back around to what you said about healthy conflict, it's okay to sit down and come up with ground rules. Like ground rules for conflict. Like, there are some things that are never gonna fly. They're below the belts, and it's okay to sit down and talk about that and establish that. Like, it's okay to do logistical work, to be like, okay, well, what can we do to better our odds? Right. If that makes sense.
Well, and I think too, talking through like, if you are finding that you're getting triggered by your partner during conflict, are they withdrawing? Are they shutting down and withdrawing their love, attention, and affection from you? Is that triggering the F out of you? Then maybe we need to make some ground rules about that. You know, if it's going to send you into orbit stress-wise, then that's not worth it, you know? And you and your partner may have some healing work to do to figure out, why do I do that, right? And get clarity on some of those conflict default settings that we have. But like Logan said, it's not worth it in the long run. Like, your relationship needs to be built on both of you coming to the table with what's going to work. Well, and that's, I was going to say another thing. One of the things I feel like I say to every couple, every single one, when we talk about trust, is that there's this human phenomenon where people reflect out what's going for them internally. And so when a client says to me, I can't trust other people, especially if it's their partner, what I hear them say is, I don't trust myself. Right? We often have healing work to do around, why can't I trust myself? I think I'm always going to circle back, right? Perspectacles on parenting, like that we weren't raised in a way that our parents trusted us, right? Modern parenting doesn't foster that. And so we have to learn how to trust ourselves, and then we can really trust our partner. But often we have a lot of work to do on ourselves to learn how to trust ourselves before we can really authentically trust our partner and feel safe.
100%. And you can't be afraid to hold your partner accountable either. Like, you can't be the one who's like always like, okay, I'm sorry. This is mine to fix. This is mine to fix. Like, you cannot be afraid to, with compassion. Like, if you're too heated in the moment and you're going to say something wounding, come back after a timeout. But like, at some point, you are going to have to say to your partner, like, okay, I'm owning my part, but this part here doesn't feel like it's mine. So you need to also take your part and do the work too. Like, doing it together. Like, you didn't get married to be islands. Right. You got married to be a team. Yes.
Well, and one thing that again, so many partners are doing, like, they get clarity on each other's love languages, they get clarity on each other's enneagrams, and like that is valuable. But in my opinion, if you're going to do any of that work, get clarity on your attachment and your client and your partner's attachment. If you're not familiar with attachment and what that means, there's a theory called attachment theory that postures that the relationships that we have with our parents and caregivers is like a blueprint for how we relate to other people, how we are in a relationship with other people, the expectations that we have. When we act one way, we expect other people to react another way based on our attachment. There are lots of different attachment patterns, and the sooner you can get clarity on the type of attachment pattern you and your partner have, the sooner you will understand, oh, that's why they do that. Oh, that's why I do that. And you can recognize what you're projecting when you're assuming your partner feels a certain way, or you're assuming that they, you know, have these certain feelings about things, or vice versa. Like, attachment work is the best work you will ever do in your marriage. And maybe I'm going to argue the most important work. The most important work you'll ever do.
And if you need to go to couples counseling to do that work, it doesn't, like, I know there's this huge stigma. It doesn't make you broken if you go to couples counseling with your partner. It makes you smart. Like, you wouldn't never take your car in for maintenance.
Right.
Like, you know, like, and expect it to run for 100 years, like, just fine. Like, that's so stupid. It's such a waste. Like, nobody who's married needs to try to be a hero. You don't need to do it on your own. Like, there are people out there whose jobs it literally is, like people like Maggie and I, who want to help you navigate it. We're navigating it too as wives and mothers. Like, we're all in it together. And like, if you have a married friend that's going to be like, oh, well, like, you shouldn't need counseling, then don't go to that person. That person is setting themselves up for failure, and they're not safe for you to go to either.
Well, and also, and I think this is a really important point, and I always say this when couples start with me, I might not be the right fit for you guys. That's okay. It's not personal, right? Like, make sure you find a couples therapist who feels like a good fit for both of you. Sometimes couples are humans, and sometimes because of their own stuff, they might align more with one partner or the other. It's a daily struggle, right? I have to kind of keep that in check when I'm in couples, and like recognize when I can feel I'm aligning more with the other and try to kind of recenter, you know, but make sure it's a good fit for both of you. The other recommendation I have is to look into the Queen Bee, Dr. Brene Brown, and her work on shame. Shame is the thing that gets in the way, and I'm going to say
there's no place for it in a healthy relationship.
90%, but it shows up and it hijacks the way that we see our partner and the way that we perceive their thoughts, feelings, and reactions. Like, it hijacks us and it gets in the way. So if I had any recommendations, it would be to get clarity on your attachment and your partner's attachment, and then look into Dr. Brene Brown's work on shame.
And seek counseling if you need it, and go to other members of your tribe, moms, who you know are safe. Like, who aren't. I just had a client today that she was like, I'm sorry. Like, she was apologizing for her marriage stuff being complicated. And I was like, honey, this isn't high school anymore. This isn't, I'm mad at my boyfriend and I'm breaking up with him. Like, this is marriage. You're married and you signed up for forever and you have children, and it's complicated. And if you have people in your life that can't understand that, then don't go to them. Like,
they've lost the privilege. It's a privilege for you to let people in. It's a privilege for people to know your real truth about how you're feeling and how you're thinking and how life is going. And there are people that will have lost the privilege, right, of being in the inner circle. Yeah.
You're right.
We're here for you, mamas. Please help us create this community of messy, jacked up, imperfect mamas who know that it's okay if their marriage is a shit show sometimes.
It is, though.
My marriage is a shit show sometimes. It's normal.
Hashtag
Please,
shit show.
If this was helpful, please comment, tag them, send it to them. Please make
sure
spread
it like wildfire.
Right, spread us like wildfire. And we're here for you guys. If you have questions, let us know. We'll see y'all next time. Mwah. Bye.
Bye, mamas. Take care.